Xbox is doubling down on this studio. Once again, it's Xbox against the world. Halo fans have to confront this hard truth, and we get our first look at the Xbox price increase. Let's discuss. What's up, guys, and welcome to Xbox Ready, the YouTube channel that works constantly to bring you the latest Xbox news. Now, I'm filming this on a Monday and then uploading it Wednesday, which is the same day as Xbox Developer Direct. If you want to hear my thoughts on Developer Direct, I'm going to have a video talking about it on Friday, most likely, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You can set the notifications to all, so you keep up to date on whenever I post that video. I'm also working to launch an anime channel called Rainami, where I focus on anime stuff, deep dives, reviews, animated content. The other day, I uploaded a longer cut of the interview I did with Emmy Lowe, who is the voice actress for Lucy in Cyberpunk Edgerunners on Netflix. I did a short interview with her for Xbox Ready, but if you want to see more of that, go on over to Rainami right now and check it out. We have another update in the never-ending saga of Xbox versus the world. Yes, it's no secret that ever since Xbox has made public their intentions to buy publisher Activision Blizzard, they've got a lot of beef going on. They got beef with a lot of different people. Google, Sony, Nvidia, the FTC, the CMA, the EU Commission. All of these entities have come out and said, you know what, we don't really like this deal, or we hate this deal. And on top of all that, back in December, it was made public that 10 gamers have gotten together and are planning to sue Microsoft in order to block this acquisition. Microsoft has tried to put a pause on that suit. They're like, okay, we got enough going on. We don't really want to deal with this too. According to Pure Xbox, Microsoft lawyers have suggested the company and Activision Blizzard's ongoing issues with the FTC could result in this private case causing needless and duplicative litigation and the risk of inconsistent ruling. Unfortunately for Microsoft, a district judge in San Francisco has denied that motion to pause the litigation on behalf of those 10 gamers, and that judge is set to hear the preliminary injunction bid on March 23rd of this year. According to Reuters, Microsoft has responded to this, saying, "We remain confident in our case and path forward and are committed to closing this deal." Now, I don't know, guys. I'm not gonna say what anyone should do with their money. I grew up being taught, hey, Ray, when you grow up and you have your own money, your own house, your own car, you can do whatever you want with that money. And I've just been like, dope. Let me buy a bunch of different like microphones for voiceover, stuff for video games, a bunch of anime posters. But these 10 people, it just seems kind of like superfluous in a way. It seems kind of unnecessary. It's like, dang, Microsoft is already getting sued by the FTC. They're already getting challenged on all these different fronts by these different regulatory bodies all around the world. Is this private case brought together by these 10 gamers really gonna move the needle either way? I see a lot of people saying, oh, these 10 people, they got no life, they got nothing better to do. If it makes you happy, sure, sue people, I guess, if you have the time, if you have the money. This could also end up just being one of those frivolous lawsuits that we hear so much about, like the McDonald's lady who spilled hot coffee on herself and apparently got like a huge payout, but it's like, we know that's just to distract from these like other crazy lawsuits that are actually going on. I don't know. Again, not gonna tell you what to do with your money. Next up, let's talk about Halo. Now, as we all know, Microsoft is in the midst of laying 10,000 people off, and that includes people at 343 Industries who are working on Halo Infinite, and at Bethesda, although we don't know exactly what positions have been affected over at Bethesda. According to Jason Schreier, the Halo team that's working on the campaign was hit pretty dang hard, and that's led a lot of people to be like, okay, what's going on? What's the future of Halo? Is 343 done? Is it time to maybe hand Halo off to another studio, have them take a crack at it? Well, apparently 343 is doubling down. They took to Twitter and made this statement the other day. They said, Halo and Master Chief are here to stay. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future, including epic stories, multiplayer, and more of what makes Halo great. Pierre Hint, studio head. Now, this could be a good or bad thing depending on how much you hate or like 343 Industries and the products that they've put out over the years. Personally, I just think it's tough, especially working on a franchise like Halo. It's like, okay, you gotta make it like the classic Halo, but you gotta put your own spin on it so you're not just releasing the same game over and over again like an Assassin's Creed or Madden. But at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, we've sort of seen what 343 Industries can do with the Halo franchise. franchise, and they haven't really had a home run hit. It's very clear that Halo needs some sort of shakeup. I don't know if it would benefit being handed off to another studio. Clearly that's not the case here, because 343 has come out and said we're gonna keep working on it. But overall, it's just been very tumultuous over at Xbox and 343 over the past couple of days. Yes, they got hit with the layoffs, and then there was some drama. People were coming out and saying, oh, working at 343, it was terrible, it was managed terrible. It just hasn't been a great couple of days. And the more that we kind of learn about 343 and what's kind of been going on there, it just raises more questions. For example, over on Twitter, Jez Corden has this to say: from what I've heard via multiple sources, Halo Infinite's campaign DLC never existed beyond conversations. Focus has been entirely on live service. Jason Schreier also weighed in on the situation. He said, I ran these bullet points by a few people. While it's true that 343 is focused on multiplayer, the stuff about campaign DLC being scrapped is false. I don't think there was much of that planned in the first place, and a lot of this is either wrong or just speculation. And for me, that is just a huge question mark. I'm just like, what is the deal with that? Because I find it hard to believe Halo Infinite was supposed to be a 10-year game. It was supposed to last for the next 10 years. And you're telling me that you had no campaign DLC planned for the next 10 years? Like no updates to Master Chief's story, the weapons story. Oh, when are we gonna find out the weapon's name? I have no idea, because apparently for the next 10 years, they had no plans on updating the campaign with DLC, which is a huge disappointment because I feel like the whole open world Zeta Halo kind of thing lends itself perfectly to insert more storylines, more missions, more biomes into that game. Especially because if you played the game, it's like so much of the cool stuff happens off screen. It starts off with the bang, the campaign. It's like, oh god, you're fighting the Banish on the ship, and then Atriox just like beats the crap out of Master Chief and then freaking tosses him into space. And that's a great story hook. It's like, oh my gosh, Master Chief just got clapped by this freaking brute Atriox, and then it spends the whole game building him up. You see like these little hologram versions of him, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be a crazy epic showdown, a rematch, Master Chief, Atriox. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, at the end, spoiler alert, Atriox is dead, and so is Cortana. She's locked down, and that was a huge story point, like from the previous games, the AI revolution and Cortana going on. In my head, I thought they were gonna foolishly go on and continue all of that with the DLC and help fill it out a little bit. And this focus on live service and this focus on multiplayer, honestly, I think it's the exact opposite of what they need to do with Halo. Since they launched Halo Infinite back in 2021, I think we've all come to realize that the landscape has changed when it comes to multiplayer shooters. Yes, back in the day, playing Halo multiplayer online on Xbox Live Gold, that was the thing, that was the move. But nowadays, the industry has completely shifted to favor these multi-platform, free-to-play shooters like Fortnite, Apex Legends, Warzone, Overwatch. I really find it hard to believe in this modern landscape that any console exclusive or platform exclusive can crack into those top multiplayer games. They're just missing way too much of the install base. And so looking at it like that, yes, I know that multiplayer is the hot thing going on right now. I know that a lot of what Xbox has with their titles like Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite, the multiplayer component is appealing to players because it gives us that replayability. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna play through the single player campaign and then be done with it. But when it comes to Halo, they need to have a better balance when it comes to that stuff. Yes, we loved the Halo multiplayer, especially in 3. 2 was really awesome. Halo Reach, that was kind of like controversial at the time, but everyone I feel like enjoyed it. But all of the campaigns for those games were really solid. It was just like the multiplayer was an extra component into an already great game that you can experience on your own. The Arbiter storyline in 2, the ending of Halo 3 where you're driving the Warthog off the freaking Halo ring and the freaking music is like bum, bum. Halo Reach, people still talk about Halo Reach's campaign, freaking Emil's sacrifice, the last mission where the objective is just to survive. And ever since then, 343, it's kind of, we haven't had like a really awesome campaign in a long time. 4, it was okay. 5, it was super short, not so great. And then Infinite, it was like, okay, you tried some things, but it didn't really work out, and the story itself was kind of like up and down. It seems like they bit off a little more than they could chew. They were like, okay, we're gonna go all in on this live service this free-to-play aspect of multiplayer, but it's just not working out and they're not delivering content at a steady pace. Sure, it looks like they're going to continue with Halo Infinite as is. I don't know what they're going to do to kind of really turn it around, but I'd kind of like to see them move on from Infinite. Again, have a game with a better balance between campaign and multiplayer. Stop with the free-to-play multiplayer stuff, just have it where it comes with the base game. Maybe move away from Master Chief for a hot sec. They've proven in the past that you can have a pretty good Halo game without Master Chief. Halo ODST, Halo Reach. Finally, I would say bring back the horror elements with Halo. If y'all remember, like those past Halo games, The Flood, that was like kind of freaking scary. It had that like zombie Last of Us element to it where it's like, oh my gosh, these freaking Flood are coming after me, and all I could do is just like desperately back up with my dual SMGs and shoot them in a panic. Whatever they decide to do with Halo, I'm rooting for it, honestly, because I grew up a fan of Halo. I even really like a lot of aspects about Halo Infinite. I still have a lot of fun with the multiplayer. Haven't jumped back into the campaign since I beat it in 2021. I want to see the Halo franchise restored to its former glory, man. I'm rooting for it. It kind of makes me admire more what Santa Monica Studios has done with the God of War franchise. Yes, they took a franchise that had 1 million games in it before, God of War 1, 2, and 3, Ascension, Ghost of Sparta, but in God of War 2018, they managed to keep the core of what people like about God of War, but move it in a fresh new direction that they were able to build on in Ragnarok. And the Halo franchise, I hate to say it, just hasn't had that one solid game that they can continue building on. Next up, Xbox CEO Phil Spencer has sort of broken his silence on the Microsoft layoffs that affect Xbox Game Studios. Apparently, Phil Spencer sent out an email to all full-time employees of Xbox Game Studios. Phil Spencer says, "This is a challenging moment in our business, and this week's actions were painful choices. The gaming leadership team had to make decisions that set us up for long-term success of our products and business, but the individual results of those decisions are real. I know that hurts. Thank you for supporting our colleagues as they process these changes. Over the coming weeks, we'll have many opportunities to connect and answer your questions, including the monthly gaming update next week for teams who attend that meeting, and I am in close contacts with teams at ZeniMax to provide support. The GLT and I are committed to being as transparent as we can. Moving forward with ambiguity is challenging, but I am confident that together we will get through this difficult moment in time." Now, I feel like this is just about as good of a job as you can do in this situation. Like, what do you tell to a whole team of people after you just laid off 10,000 of their friends to make them feel better? A current employee at Xbox apparently said, "This feels like something you send out of obligation. I seriously doubt any of those monthly gaming updates or other meetings are going to do anything to make anyone feel better." And overall, again, it's just not great timing for Xbox. It never seems like it is, because obviously, yes, they're in the middle of trying to spend $70 billion on Activision Blizzard, probably going to spend a ton more on legal fees now that this FTC lawsuit is heating up. So I definitely get the frustration if you're one of these people affected by these layoffs. It's like, okay, you got billions and billions and billions of freaking dollars to go and spend on Activision Blizzard, but not to keep me in a job. On the other end, it's like, okay, we knew that 343 at least was due for a shakeup. So maybe this restructuring of employees will in the long term be beneficial for Xbox and for Microsoft. I don't know if I can really sugarcoat it. It sucks all around. It sucks losing your job. It sucks for Xbox that this is what's in the news cycle right now with Developer Direct on the horizon. Literally, as this video goes up, it'll probably have happened already. We should be talking about that. We should be like, oh my gosh, Developer Direct, the first showcase, the first Xbox event since freaking June of last year. And instead, there's just this looming shadow with this layoffs, with uncertainty at 343. Hopefully after Developer Direct, the narrative will change a little bit, the news cycle will continue grinding forward, and we can move on from this. Speaking of Developer Direct, at this point we should know a lot more about Arcane's upcoming game Redfall. And according to a couple of leaks, we have seen the first evidence of an Xbox price increase when it comes to their first-party titles. Allegedly, Redfall is going to cost 79 euros, which would roughly translate to $70 in the US. And then apparently they're going to have an upgrade to the deluxe edition, Edition, which is going to cost 29 euros, and I'd say roughly, what is that, 20 bucks in the US. Now, there are a couple of things to that. The existence of a deluxe edition suggests that there's going to be DLC for Redfall going forward, but we also know from previous leaks that the deluxe edition could serve as a path to give people early access like they did with Forza Horizon 5. We knew this was coming. We knew that first-party games were going to get a price increase in 2023. Seems like Redfall is the first to get that treatment. I don't know if they're going to apply that to Minecraft Legends and Forza Motorsport whenever they decide to release those. I assume they would, because it's like, again, first-party titles. Why wouldn't they? I know there's a lot of anxiety around this. Xbox, they were kind of like the last bastion of like, okay, we know that our competitors are raising prices on their games, but we're going to stand firm. $60 games, we're going to keep the price of our hardware the same. We're going to keep the price of Game Pass the same. But it seems like those days are at an end. Hopefully these games that they put out justify that $10 price increase. I feel like that's all we're asking for here. Looking at it from another angle, it kind of strengthens the value of Xbox Game Pass, because all of those games I just mentioned, yes, despite the fact that they're probably going to be getting a price increase, they're going to be put on Game Pass the same day that they release. So if the idea of spending over $200 on games like Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, and Redfall, you can always subscribe to Game Pass and try all three of those games for what, like $15, $10 a month? I feel like that's a pretty decent deal.